And today we've come here to discuss about ITSM, but more especially about how to start bringing visibility to your systems with Jira Service Management and Insight. And for this presentation, I'm pleased to introduce you to Erin Collins, Head of ITSM Practice at Valiantis, and Andrew Costa, Consultant at Valiantis in the UK. Over to you.
Thanks, Anthony. What Anthony forgot to mention is that I am a 100% gung-ho ITSM evangelist. So, or maybe he didn't forget, who knows. At Valiantis, our ITSM practice is populated with knowledgeable consultants who promote, educate, and support ITSM best practices in Jira Service Management and marketplace apps. Our ethos is that any organization with requestable services benefits from the use of service management frameworks, Jira Service Management, and asset management. So today we are going to discuss what Atlassian has done for ITSM, and spoiler, what is Insight. We'll follow that with a demo, and then we'll wrap that up with a quick summary, and then we will take Q&A. And I always look forward to that part. So what in the world has Atlassian done for ITSM? Well, actually, it's not really as bad as I make it sound. You know, last year, Atlassian acquired Mindville. So now, as of less than 2 months ago, is it 2 months ago? Okay, less than 3 months ago, sorry. Got my dates wrong there. Insight is available now, out of the box, bundled in with Jira Service Management Cloud Premium and Enterprise subscriptions and Jira Service Management Data Center. A lot of customers see Insight as an absolutely critical add-on to the Jira Service Management solution. And we are so excited that it's now part of these 3 deployments, or 2 deployments, Data Center and Cloud, in the Premium and Enterprise subscriptions out of the box. Now, folks, look, this was big when Atlassian bought Mindville, right? And they really haven't disappointed in the features that they are bringing, especially to the cloud. In case you're wondering, there used to be a gap between data center functions and cloud functions. That gap is shrinking so fast. So if you're still thinking about it, stop thinking about it and just pull the trigger. Right, okay, so why is this important? Well, missing data is expensive. Silly money, as someone that I know says. There are countless industry reports from Gartner and Forrester talking about how missing data costs companies a lot in time and money, especially when it comes to their IT service management practices. It doesn't matter if you're doing full ITIL 4 framework or your own version of ITSM. You still need to access key information so you can make decisions about planning services, about helping your employees or customers with support, and about resolving incidents, and most importantly, your total cost of ownership. So today, when you need information, you go away and you find it. There is a huge difference in efficiency between searching through 3 different tools and 5 different spreadsheets over and over and over again when requests or incidents come in, and having the required information already attached to the request. Or take this example, asking your service desk manager to tell you what your cost per ticket is. If you aren't capturing asset information, it means missing out on a huge source of input to what it costs to run your organization. If you can do it, you are saving precious time, you are improving customer satisfaction, you're able to approve changes faster with less risk. And that's just the start of it. Right, so let's just unpack this a little bit and talk about some of the pain points that you are having. When you consider your hardware and your software, you have questions like, do we have too many seats consuming Adobe or Microsoft project software licenses? Are we renewing our contracts on time? Hey, an employee has submitted a broken hardware request, but I have no idea which hardware they have, what make or model, and what version. But what about services, your business services and your infrastructures? Do you know if I make this change, what services are going to be affected? What devices and applications are running services? What services are having the most downtime and why? Your services are better utilized when you can answer these questions. Can you answer these questions? So that's all well and good, right? So what exactly is insight? Let's break it down into 4 parts. The first is the database. You can call it a database. You can call it a CMDB if you want, or you can call it an asset repository, but it's a database of whatever your organization needs to track. So think laptops, virtual machines, software licenses, applications, contracts, employees, facilities. We call everything in Insight an object. So these objects can then be linked to Jira issues to give you more context. The Insight database is very, very flexible. So if you want to create a small database of objects that just gives you a high-level overview of your services, you can do that. If you want to document everything about your on-premise infrastructure in a more traditional CMDB way, you can do that too. And if you just want to store some basic information about some assets your business owns, you can do that also. And by the way, you can do all 3 of those things at the same time. There's really no limit to the types of objects you can store. So today, we happen to be focusing on IT, but you can store anything you like. Company vehicles, vendors, pianos, anything. So next up are the tools to get that data into Insight in the first place. And there are a number of different options. First, we have Insight Discovery. Insight Discovery is an agentless network scanner that can find IP-enabled devices on your network and bring them into Insight along with their various details and attributes, such as the IP address, the installed software, licenses. And second, you can import these via CSV, JSON, LDAP, connecting it to another database. Finally, there are integrations with third-party tools, cloud services like AWS and Azure, mobile device management systems, other CMDB tools, Snow. Today, we're going to show you another way of getting new objects into the Insight database, and one that doesn't actually use any licenses. So another major aspect of Insight are automations based on the objects themselves. These can be used for updating the status of your services if an incident occurs, notifying the service owner, automatically routing Jira issues based on the linked Insight objects, creating a Jira issue if an Insight object's contract is due for renewal. Oh, that's just the beginning of an endless list of what you can do through automation. The aim really, though, is to use these rules to shift work left, to take off as much administrative burden as possible from staff, and keep the Insight database up to date at the same time. So the final key area of Insight is the ability to query that data. You can query and report on the data within the Insight database itself. For example, you can look at stock lists or how many licensed seats you have left. But you can also search Jira issues based on what Insight objects are attached to them. So you can see which configuration items are involved in most incidents, which workplace technology is creating the highest number of requests, and so on. So those are the 4 components of Insight. And now, Andrew, I'm going to hand this over to Andrew, who is going to demo 2 use cases for getting data into and out of Insight. And along the way, he'll take a little tour of the guts of Insight. During the demo, at any time during the presentation, really, please use that chat panel to ask questions, and we will come to those during the Q&A session at the end. So, Andrew, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. So I'm just going to quickly flick over my screen over to an IT service desk portal. Something I just want to make everyone aware is, just before I properly start delving into this, here we're using an on-premise version of JSM. This scenario I'm about to show you is completely available also and configurable in the Atlassian cloud as well. But I'll start the scenario. So I'm currently logged in as Alice. She works for a company called Vanderlei Bay, and they're in the middle of decommissioning a storage facility, and they have found a laptop that doesn't actually exist within the CMDB, and it needs to be put in. So she's come to her IT service desk portal. We're going to navigate to the computers and software category request type, and we're going to request to add an asset to the CMDB. So once this form loads, what we're presented with, again, is completely configurable to your specific case, but we're initially asking the reason why you want to add an asset to the CMDB. So as I stated earlier, this is because a storage facility is being decommissioned, and we have found a laptop that doesn't exist in the CMDB. The asset's name is going to be lap 004321, as this is the laptop assets tag that's actually on the bottom of the laptop itself. The model of the laptop, it's a MacBook Pro, and its serial number is the following. Now, its operating system, we've left this field optional, but I know what this is. It's a MacBook, so it's a Mac OS High Sierra, and this laptop was actually purchased from the supplier IT Supplies Inc. Just before I go ahead and actually click create on this ticket, something I just want you to be aware of is that the fields, the model, the operating system, and the supplier are all coming directly, all these values are being pulled directly from the CMDB. So if anything was added additionally there, it would automatically be pulled in and users would be presented with those values. But I'm going to go and click create. So as this ticket is created, this would be the standard view that you would see when someone raises a ticket in the JSM portal. So we'll be able to see the necessary details that I've actually put in as Alice. So we can see the reason, the model, the serial number, the operating system, and the IT supplier. We can see it's actually in an approval state. It's waiting for someone to approve it, for it to actually go into the CMDB. So as we can see, we only need one approval, and we either need it from Andrew or John. So I'm going to quickly flick up personas, and I am now logged into JSM, and I'm logged in as John. He is the service desk manager, and he is in charge of all the assets within the CMDB as well. So at the top of our unassigned tickets queue, we can see that there's a ticket that's awaiting approval, and that was raised by Alice. So if I go ahead and open this ticket, here we'll be able to see the information that Alice had just put in. So we can see that the issue type is of type asset. We can see its operating system, its supplier and model, so on and so forth. And we can see the reason why the asset should be added into the CMDB or not. Something that you can do here as well is, as I mentioned, the model, the supplier, and the operating system fields were relating to Insight and pulling its information from there, that CMDB. So if I went ahead and clicked on IT suppliers, for example, here we'd get further information, so we can see when this particular entry was created, updated, and if there was further information that you wanted to keep in here, so when this vendor was onboarded, for example, how long the contract with them, this can all be stored here, and you would be visible here. So you don't actually have to delve directly into Insight, directly into the CMDB. You can pull that information directly from the Jira ticket itself. But as I'm logged in as John, I have gone over this ticket, I've read it, and I'm actually happy for this to go into the CMDB. So I'm going to simply just click approve. So that's gone ahead and resolved this ticket, and we've got a bit of automation just to go. The asset has actually been successfully added into Insight. That's been posted back to Alice, and that ticket's effectively closed off for her. So now if we navigate over to Insight itself, just to see what that actually does look like within the CMDB. So the entry that we just created was lap 004321. So we can see the information that we have just filled in. So we pulled in the name that was typed in. It's referencing the Mac OS High Sierra. Its model is MacBook Pro, the serial number that we typed in, and again, the supplier. And the hyperlinked values, so the OS, the model, and the supplier, again, these are all being referenced elsewhere inside Insight, so you're not having that redundant data. Something that we didn't actually put in that was done as part of the automation was the status of this particular asset. So we can see its state is in stock. So within this particular configuration, we've got various statuses to say where this particular device is. So in this case, it's in stock, so it can be assigned. If this asset had an issue with it, so someone raised an incident against this particular device, it could say there is an incident against it. So this could be applicable to servers, for example, to larger bits of hardware. If you wanted to go ahead and edit this particular asset, you wanted to put in a bit more information into it, this can be very easily done manually. This can be done by clicking the edit button here, and then you can see there's a vast array of fields for us to be able to fill in. Again, as very similar to a Jira project, these fields are completely customizable. You can have as little and as many of them as you do want. To go ahead and actually configure these fields, and what they're actually called in Insight is they're called attributes. So in the top right, there's this attributes button. So if I do go ahead and click on that, you can see the actual configuration behind this laptop's Insight object type. If you wanted to go ahead and actually add a new attribute, this can simply be done by typing in the name of the attribute at the bottom, its description, and giving its particular type. So this can range from being just a standard text field, an email, an integer, an IP address, a select list. You can have it automatically assigned from a user and pull that information in. Alternatively, as I mentioned before, you can relate this directly back to Insight itself, to another Insight object type. So in this case, the model attribute is referring to the laptop models that are contained within Insight. Another view that you have within Insight is there is a graphical view of how everything kind of connects together with where those objects are being linked. So again, with the model, the operating system, and so on. So if I went and go ahead and clicked on graph, we can see exactly how everything is actually linked together. So relating this back to if there is an incident with a server, or you're doing a change request, for example, here you'll be able to see actually what specific components and what knock-on effects may happen with this. But just jumping back over to our scenario, so a few weeks have passed, and Andrew is having a bit of issue with his actual laptop. So what he's gone and done with his personal laptop is that he's gone ahead and spilled coffee all over it, and he needs to request a new laptop from the firm in order to continue working. So similarly to Alice, he's gone to the IT Service Desk portal. He's going to navigate to the computers and software request type category as well. But this time he's actually going to go ahead and request some new hardware. So similarly to Alice, he's prompted with a form. and the form details are ever so slightly different. So the summary is that he requires a new laptop. So why do I need this? I'm going to put in I spilt coffee on my personal one and can no longer work. So he's given an option of all the different types of hardware that he could potentially request. But in this case, he's after a laptop. And the model that he's specifically after is a MacBook Pro. Just something I'd like to mention as well, just again, before I go ahead and create this ticket, depending on the hardware option selected, the hardware model, the values inside here would be dynamic, and they would depend on that type of hardware being selected. But I'm going to go ahead and click on the create button. And again, as with Alice, we can see the information that we have just put in, and Andrew can go ahead and communicate with a service desk agent. So just jumping personas once again, I'm going to quickly navigate back to our service desk. And again, I'm still logged in as John. And at the top of the unassigned tickets queue, we can see there is a service request raised by Andrew, and it's requiring that new laptop. So I'm going to go ahead and open this ticket up. And in here, we can see the summary will be put in and the description. We can also see his manager. And this is, again, is actually being pulled in from Insight. So just as Aaron said, Insight doesn't have to revolve purely around the IT world. It can revolve around personnel. It can revolve around HR, facilities, and whatever it is that you kind of need to track in terms of assets. It can go directly into Insight. But as John, I'm going to go ahead and triage this ticket because he's gone through it. So for me, the urgency is medium. It's of limited impact, and I'm going to go ahead and assign it to myself as John. So with this, I am now given the option to assign an asset as a transition. So if I went ahead and clicked assign an asset, I'm prompted with this transition screen. And here I can see a field called available assets. And again, this is linking over to Insight, over to that CMDB. And as Andrew requested that MacBook Pro, the assets that are a MacBook Pro are being listed here. And luckily, there's only the one laptop left that Alice had requested to put into the CMDB a few weeks ago. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this option, and I'm going to leave everything the same. I'm going to go ahead and click assign an asset. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to quickly jump over to this other tab that we have here. It says hardware provisioning. And if I go ahead and click on available assets, so this asset is currently in the middle of being assigned to Andrew, we can see the status is actually has been updated to commissioning. So this laptop has now been taken out of that pool of in-stock laptops, and it cannot be assigned to anybody else, as Andrew is currently in the middle of procuring this laptop and it being assigned to him. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now, I'm going to go ahead and request approval to see if Andrew should go ahead and actually receive this laptop. So in the real world, this would go over to Brian. However, I'm going to go ahead and put the account that I'm actually logged in as, just so we can actually go ahead and progress through this scenario. So I'm going to put in John, click send for approval, and then I will approve this particular ticket. So a week or so has passed, and Andrew's actually come in and visited the IT service desk, and he's actually gone ahead and collected his laptop. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'm going to go ahead and resolve this ticket. I'm going to set the resolution as done, saying the laptop has been collected by Andrew, and I'm going to go and click resolve. So this will transition our ticket. And if I go ahead and click available assets, so this asset that was being assigned to Andrew, we can see the status is now assigned, and we can actually see that the asset is assigned to Andrew himself. So that concludes the demo. I'm going to pass this back over to Erin for her to wrap up.
And it helps if Erin comes off mute to do that. So yes, let's wrap this up, shall we? Thanks, Andrew. So with Insight, you can there we go. With Insight, you can deliver better response to service requests through a much richer issue context. Risk from change is minimized when you have that visibility of the impacts, that upstream and downstream impacts. We've kept our use cases really simple today so that to allow you to imagine the speed that you can achieve in troubleshooting and resolving everything from a simple request for a hardware replacement to a major incident, to seeing all of those pieces that are impacted by a particular request or ticket. Finally, finding and knowing what you have is key input to planning, audits, and compliance activities.